Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60. So I was on the phone to Daniel from Simply Tuning late last night, and he has an issue with the E46. Now, keeping in mind, we're supposed to be going with this car, we're supposed to be leaving tomorrow to drive 6 hours to go to a drift event on Saturday. And this is a problem I've never heard of before with an M54. I don't think Dan's ever seen it before in the flesh, but he's got a suspicion. Why is the rocker cover and the cams off, Daniel?
Because this little engine has decided to valve float.
Valve float on an M54. So Dan was explaining that to me last night. Again, I've never heard of it on an M54. Why do you think it's valve float?
Because it's lost a heap of horsepower and it sort of dies off in the top end and then misfires afterwards, which is, you know, that's typically how you diagnose valve float.
So hopefully you saw the last video where this was at the track. And basically towards the end of the day, or the end of the night I should say, Dan come around that last corner, this thing was bogging down, dying. At the time, we all sort of made the assumption it was fuel surge. And Dan, you spent a lot of money on a surge tank kit, haven't you?
Yeah, we did. We ordered a radium surge tank from Golby's with 2 new pumps in it. So that should fix that problem, if it is a problem.
So we will show you guys that surge tank. It is a wicked bit of kit that's come from Golby's. However, we're running out of time, Dan.
Nah, it's okay. We've got plenty of time. We've still got a day.
And you were saying last night, you've sort of done a little bit of research yesterday, not research, but investigation. You had this on the dyno, and we'll show the power curve. What sort of RPMs is power dropping off?
Anything after, it sort of comes on boost, and as soon as it gets any sort of seat pressure on the valve spring, it just dies, and then really deep in the revs, it really dies.
Okay, so Dan has, and just to confirm, you've never seen this on an M54?
No, not in person. Heard of it, but yeah.
However, he has seen it on a lot of Japanese engines. The JZs in particular got mentioned, and it's sort of like they just get to an age in their life where the valve springs stop wanting to be valve springs. And this motor, you've got no idea how old this engine is, do you?
No.
So you don't really know how old it is, how many Ks it's done, but I don't know how he managed to do it, but last night he made a few calls, and you've got Ferreira valves.
We do. A good friend of mine, Alex, had a set on his shelf for his engine that he hasn't finished, so I gave him a call and he got them to me this morning, and the boys are getting them in.
So good excuse for what could be a cool upgrade, especially the way Dan revs this. What do you normally rev this engine to?
I think it was going to 76, but we'll see. If it's happy, we might turn it up if it keeps making power.
Sounds good to me. All right, guys, so this video, we're going to get the valve springs fitted, work out a plan with the surge tank, which I bet you regret not fitting it earlier in the week now.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can get this thing running properly, ready to go to the drift event tomorrow.
Makes sense.
So, Dan, you've got Ferreira valve springs, not valves themselves.
No, standard valve still.
So basically, I was having a quick look. These are a linear spring, not a progressive beehive style like the factory. And it should just mean you're going to be able to rev it a bit more.
Yeah.
A bit more.
So long as it doesn't float, I think I'll be happy.
That's all you care about right now. Again, it's a really weird one. We're not 100% sure this is definitely going to be it, but we will find out when we put it on the dyno shortly. While you've had access to everything, you've now actually done a full plug section, and all of the DI injectors are now out of it. Before, you only had the front 2 plugged.
Yep.
And it did look like the other 4 injectors were starting to break down as well. So it looks like DI plugs are a necessity, even at 500 or 600 horsepower.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the engine has done a lot of work for a fair amount of time, but look, probably better to just do it to begin with.
Cool. All right. I guess it's just cams back in, rockers, and then run it on the dyno.
Hopefully.
It'll happen really quick. Also gave the injectors a service while they were easily accessible. They were checked out okay. So I just thought coming here, it's a bit quieter while the guys are putting those cams back in. So this is all, it's all a bit weird. N54s do have valve float. I was just talking to Ken in the group chat, and apparently he has heard of it a couple of times with small rear housing or small AR housing single turbos running high boost. So it is a thing. Dan has never witnessed it before, and his whole perception or diagnosis is just how the car was acting when he was trying to dyno it yesterday. He said it's just like a JZ, it's just like a Barra when it valve floats. And again, I'll show you this dyno curve. You can see where it comes up, starts to build power, and then bam, it tapers off. Dan did find a boost leak in his intercooler the other day as well. So it turns out one of his radiator fans is actually, I don't know if it's from hitting the curbs drifting, but it's just sitting in the wrong spot and it ended up wearing into the intercooler. So he did fix a boost leak, and now it's coming on a boost a bit earlier. I don't know if that's going to cause it, but the car's not making huge power. He's only running 22 or 24 PSI, but it is a single. It's that 550 wheel horsepower on a mainline dyno, hub dyno. Yeah, I really hope this is it, because if there is another problem with the engine, it will be an issue getting to the drift event. Anyway, let's go back. I know they're getting close to finishing it. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be running it up on here and see if it's making power in the next hour or so. Well guys, the motor's all back together. I guess we've got to start it and see if it's going to run again.
Yeah. Wait a second. Look at what... Look.
Does that need to be connected?
I think it does.
All right.
Try now.
We don't need any more problems. He sounds nice.
Yeah.
Right, the car is on the dyno. I'm still a bit skeptical. I don't know. We'll know shortly. What's your confidence level, Dan?
Semi.
Semi?
Yeah.
I mean, Dan has experienced a lot of valve float in other engines. I think he's more confident off camera, but we'll see,
So this was the other day.
So that's a good dyno graph, everyone.
Pretty sure. What's this button?
In fact, that's from the footage that you would have seen when you were running through the gears.
Yeah, that day I'm sure.
And this is basically what it was doing after the track. So way down on power, 150 horsepower down there. But instead of coming up nicely, actually is the red one from the day before? Yeah, it is.
The red one's in a lower gear.
Ah, okay.
But the blue one is the previous runs.
Okay.
And this is yesterday's run.
So hopefully you can all see it, but the blue run was the video on the dyno, all nice and good. Like I mentioned earlier, he did fix the hole in the intercooler, so he's getting boost a little bit earlier. But what's that? What RPM are we?
That there is like 4,300.
So 4,300, it just sort of flattens off, and you miss this big pump of power. Like the valves aren't closing.
Here, about 100 horsepower down all through here.
Right. All right, let's hope it's it, because what's the time now? It's nearly 4 o'clock. Oh, a little bit of smoke. It would have had some oil spilt down from the rocker cover being off. It's no biggie. All right, guys, so it's got some heat in it. I don't know if it's gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna be valve springs. Let's see what it does. $525. So it picked up about 75 horsepower, and it's back to a normal looking curve. That is so weird that valve springs were causing this problem. Not fuel surge. It's a little bit fueled up at the moment, the room. See if it clears out a bit. Dan did say he did about 5 dyno pulls yesterday trying to work out what was going on. See if he can wind it up a bit more from 525. Okay, so the smoke, the PCV valve just not set up properly. It needs to seat a little bit further. Dan's gonna make some tweaks, see if we can get it back up to the power that it was at last week. got the Ferreira valves. He might rev it a bit more. We'll see. We'll see. He's just on the phone whilst doing a tune. You know what it's like. Okay, what we thought might be a PCV issue is actually, it must be a split oil feed line into the turbo or the drain or something, and then the extraction fan is just blowing it all through, and we thought it was exhaust. However, Dan, you fixed the valve spring issue.
Yes, new problem.
New problem now. However, we've run out of time for today, so we're not going to get the surge tank fitted. That's going to be tomorrow before we head down to Rayleigh. Guys, at least the motor's making power again. Were you worried?
Semi.
It's just work, it's just work. However, this is also work, which is annoying. I'm gonna get this video edited. You guys will see us. Hit me up in the comments if you think we make it to Rayleigh. Dan, now it's got Ferreira valves. You gonna rev it a bit harder?
All right, let's make it stop leaking oil first.
He's always worried about these maintenance issues. I wanna see this thing rev to 8,000. Hit us up in the comments if you wanna see it rev that hard. I think with a little bit of peer pressure, Dan will do it. Guys, thank you all for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.